Welcome to another video from McFatter Tech Musser. If you like these videos, please click subscribe. 70-741 Lab 1, implementing IPv4 and IPv6 addressing. So this is our first lab in 70-741, so we're going to revisit some of our basic networking skills that we've learned earlier in our course. And this is going to be configuring IPv4 settings, configuring IPv6 settings. We're going to look at configuring 6 to 4, and then finally we'll reset our server to do some cleanup. In this lab, we're going to be utilizing 6 different systems. We'll of course have our LUN-DC1 operational. We're also going to be using LUN SVR1, Tor SVR1. Our router will be our EU-RTR. Our simulated internet will be INET1. And we have a Windows 10 machine, which is LUN-CL1 for client 1. This is going to be a fairly long lab, so let's get into it. In our first exercise, it's going to be configuring IPv4 settings. In this exercise, we'll configure IPv4 settings, including enabling a DHCP address and manually configuring IPv4 settings. We'll be doing this in Hyper-V, so this will accompany our classroom environment. Network settings can be configured either manually or automatically using DHCP. When using manual settings, you can unknowingly introduce configuration issues that can affect communications. Using a centralized approach to IP address management requires you to have a solid understanding of DHCP. So let's begin by accessing our DC1. We'll log in using our system administrator account that we created. That way we don't have to worry about prefixing the datum / to our logons when we're logging into other servers. We're going to go into our setup, and I saw that network setup come up, so I'm just going to take a quick look at my server and just make sure, okay, yeah, no, everything looks good. Okay, we're going to go to Tools, and we're going to go to DHCP. Just to make sure that everything's functioning properly, I'm going to select that server name and I'm going to expand it, and I can see our IPv4 there. We have our scopes. I'm going to right click on it, let's go to All Tasks and say Restart. We're just waiting for that DHCP server to restart. It is restarted. We should be fully operational. Now what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to our SVR1. We're going to connect. We'll bring up our enhanced session, and here again I'm also going to log in using that system administrator account. We're going to go down to our networking icon. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to say Open Network and Internet Settings. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to open up Network and Sharing Center. This is the view that we want to take a look at. We're going to, on the left-hand column, select Change Adapter Settings. I'm going to double click on our London network connection, and we're going to go to Properties. We're going to double click our IPv4 protocol. And you can see we've got a static IP address assigned to this network adapter. This will provide our answers to our first question. And your first question is, what is the current IP address configuration for your Ethernet connection? Well, the IP address 172.16.0.40. The subnet mask that we're using is 255.255.255.0. Our default gateway is 172.16.0.1, and our preferred DNS server is, as you can see, 172.16.0.10. Make sure you have those answers in for question number 1. We're going to refer back to those a little bit later. Right now, we're going to change and say obtain an IP address automatically, as well as obtaining the DNS server address automatically. And we'll click OK. And we'll click OK one more time and close. Now, let's go ahead and we're going to click the Start button, and we're going to type COMM, and we're going to open up a command prompt. We're going to run the ipconfig command. Take a look at our IP configuration that we've received. We have gotten a DHCP assigned address. Let's answer question number 2. What is the current IP address configuration for your Ethernet adapter? Our IP address, in my case, yours may be different, is 172.16.0.163. Our subnet mask is 255.255.255.0, and our default gateway, and yours should be as well, is 172.16.0.1. Make sure that you put in your specific information for your answers. Let's run that same command except with a /all and press enter. This gives us a lot more detailed information about our Ethernet adapter. And we're going to use this information to answer questions 3 and 4. Question 3 is, how do you know that this address for your Ethernet adapter was assigned by a DHCP server? There's 2 clues here. Look at your Ethernet adapter and all the items that are listed here. Look at the 4th item down. DHCP enabled, yes. There's your first response. And what else? Right here, you can see it's telling you what the DHCP server is. So 1, your adapter has connected to that DHCP server, and it is configuring the address for it. So your answer for question 3 is, you can tell that an Ethernet adapter was assigned by a DHCP server by the fact that DHCP enabled is yes, and DHCP server is, in this case, 172.16.0.10. What about question 4? Our question number 4 is, the default gateway could be assigned to any local IP address. That is an address on your subnet, right? Which address range could you assign to the default gateway to indicate a local router? In other words, what is the available range of addresses that could contain your gateway address? As long as it's on your subnet and it's a valid IP, it could be a gateway address. Well, we're on a Class C subnet, correct? What is the network portion of our Class C address? Well, if my IP address is 172.16.0.163, and I'm on a Class C address, that means the first 3 of our 4 octets is the network portion. My network is 172.16.0. My host portion is the entire last octet. So any valid address from 1 to 254 could be assigned to my gateway. So our answer should be 172.16.0.1 through 172.16.0.254. That's your answer to question 4. Understand that any IP address on your subnet can be the gateway address. It's simply what you assign. We're going to go back to our Network and Sharing Center, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to double click on our London network adapter once more and go back to the properties, and we're going to double click on IPv4, and we're going to reset our network adapter's static IP address. We're going to say use the following IP address. Except we're going to set it to something different. We're going to say 172.16.0.160. We want to make our subnet mask our same class C. Remember, if it's a different subnet, we may not be able to communicate. Our default gateway is 172.16.0.1, and we need to provide a DNS server. There. We can go ahead and we can click OK. We can click OK once more and close. Now let's go back to our command prompt. And I'm going to run the ipconfig command once more, and we can see that 160 address being assigned. Go ahead and on your session, if we're in our classroom, take a screenshot showing your session and paste that into step number 26. If we're still working remote, if we're still under our COVID restrictions, take a screenshot of the video and place that into step number 26. We're going to continue on. And we're done with IPv4 settings. This is how we go about configuring either static IP address settings or a dynamically assigned IP address. Let's take a look at IPv6. In this exercise, we're going to configure IPv6 settings. Remember that there's only a certain number of IPv4 addresses available worldwide. Now, it may seem like a lot, but we've run out of IPv4. To overcome the problem of running out of IPv4 addresses, as well as some other problems, IPv6 was developed as the next generation Internet Protocol version. Because IPv6 uses 128-bit length, the addresses are usually divided into groups of 16 bits, and that gets written as 4 hex decimal digits. Still on our LUN-SVR1, we're going to go back to our Network and Sharing Center. And what we're going to do is we're going to select the London network, and we're going to click Details. Let's answer our 6th question. What is the link local IPv6 address? Now, yours may very well be different if we're in our classroom and we're doing our assignments, or if we're working on ACE IT labs. You should see probably a different assignment. Well, you can see on your screen the 3rd item from the bottom is your link local IPv6 address. This is automatically assigned by your adapter. In my case, it's FE80::11A6 and so on and so forth. Whatever your link local IPv6 address is, place that in your answer for question number 5. If we're working remotely and we do not have access to our desktop computers or ACE IT labs, enter my link local IPv address as your answer for question number 5. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close that details box, and we're going to select properties. In our properties, we're going to go ahead and we're going to double click on IPv6. And we're going to say use the following address. And the address that I'm going to type in, it is going to be FE80, and it's going to be followed by a colon, a 0, another colon, AC4A, colon, AA04, colon, 713A, colon, 0, colon, 0, colon, CE2B. I'm going to hit tab, and it's going to fill in the 64-bit prefix length. We're going to leave the gateway empty, and we're going to click OK. We're going to click OK one more time and close. We're going to jump back over to our command prompt. I'm going to press the up arrow one time. I can see my IP config, and I'm going to press enter. Now, not only do we have our first link local address that is dynamically assigned by our adapter, but we have a static link local IP address that we've assigned. Go ahead and take a screenshot, place that into step number 11. We're going to go ahead and we're going to close our command prompt, and we're done. Let's move on to our third exercise, which is configuring 6-4. In this exercise, we'll configure 6-4 on our EU RTR router and our London client, that's the CL1, and we're going to show connectivity between the two machines. The 6-4 transition mechanism allows IPv6 packets to be transmitted over an IPv4 network, such as the current internet. Instead of configuring an explicit tunnel, you define the IPv4 address in the IPv6 format and then encapsulate IPv6 traffic into your IPv4 packets. Since the IPv4 is the underlying technology, you must have a global IPv4 address connected. We're going to go ahead and we're going to log into our EU RTR, our router, and it's right here. As you can see, it's not part of our domain. Oh. Helps to type in the correct password. We're going to go ahead and we're going to right click and we're going to go to PowerShell. In fact, I'm going to go to PowerShell admin just to be sure. And we're going to run the following command: set-net6, and I'm going to hit the tab button because I want this to auto-fill for me. I want it to auto-complete. I'm going to wait, and there it did. Helps to save on some spelling errors and also can save you some time. I'm going to do a space, -st for state, another space, and then enabled, and press enter. We are successful. It did not throw us an error message. We're going to run a set net IP interface command, and we're going to set an alias of internet. So let's run this. Set -net IP interface, tab complete, and it's going to be an interface, not index. One more time, alias, a space, and we're going to, in quotes, type internet, another quote, and we're going to give it the command -forwarding and enabled, and press enter. We're going to do this again. We're going to do a set -net IP interface with a -interface alias, a space, and now we need to make sure that our spelling is correct. So I'm going to jump over here. I'm going to go to local server. Here I can see there's that internet. London space network is the way I need to type it. So we're going to do a quote, London network, and a closing quote. We're going to do that same forwarding and enabled, and press enter. Now let's take a look at our configuration. We're going to do a get-net IP interface and press enter. Now we can see all our network interface information here. Like we've talked about many times, virtually everything you can do in the GUI you can do in PowerShell. We can see IP address version 6 enabled for internet, London network, PAC-WAN, 6-4 adapter, NA-WAN, loopback, as well as IPv4 being on our internet or London network and so on. Let's go ahead, You should have this same information. Go ahead and get a screenshot, whether we're in the classroom, whether we're working in an ACE IT lab, whether you're viewing my video because we're doing distance learning, whatever it may be, take the appropriate screenshot, paste it into step number 7. At this point, I'm not going to keep repeating that. So understand that when I say take a screenshot, either do it on your end, on your workbench, or do it through my video. If you've got that screenshot, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get logged into our simulated internet. And that is our INET1, and it simulates a DNS server on the internet. Now, I've already set these zones up, but we're going to walk through the instructions of what I did. In INET1, we're going to go to Tools, we're going to go to DNS. I'm going to expand this just so it's easy to see. And I'm going to expand forward-looking zones. How do you create a new zone? Well, you would right-click on Forward Lookup Zone and say New Zone. You would click Next. You'd specify perhaps a primary zone in most cases. And then you're going to give the name of the zone. And in this case, the first zone that we would be doing would be IPv6.microsoft.com. Now, I've already done this, but we would click Next. We would say Create a new file, and we would say do not allow dynamic updates. Because it's the type of zone that it is, we would want to update those records manually, and we would then finish. I'm going to hit cancel because I've already done this. And here is that zone. And you can see that what we've done is we've created a 6-to-4 host record with the address of 131.107.0.10. How did I do that? Well, in the zone, I simply right-clicked and said New Host, and I typed in 6-to-4, and I assigned my 131 address, and so on. And you could create an associated pointer record if you've got the reverse lookups. It's a good idea to have those reverse lookups, right? I've not created any. All we're interested in is being able to resolve, not do the reverse. So we've got our 6-to-4 record. If you've done the same thing, go ahead and take a screenshot, paste it into step number 18. So right-click Forward Lookup Zones, create a new primary zone. In the primary zone, right-click, say New Host with the name 6-to-4 and that address. Once you've done those two steps, go ahead and paste that screenshot into step number 18. Again, on our EU RTR, we're going to go ahead and we're going to repeat that last command. My bad. We're going to type in a little bit different command. We're not repeating the last command. We're going to do get-net IP address and press enter. Now here's all the information for all of our configured IP addresses. We're going to scroll up to the top to the beginning of our listed information. Let's look at our 6-to-4 adapter. Let's find that. We should have a 6-to-4 adapter listed here, right there. See the IP address assigned to it? Go ahead and take a screenshot and paste that into step number 20. And you're also going to use this as the answer to your question number 6. Record the 6-to-4 adapter address for EU-RTR, and that's at 2002:836B:A:836B:A. Go ahead and get that recorded. We're going to jump back over into our Hyper-V Manager, and we're now going to log into our Windows 10 machine. Now, when we log in here, we are logging in as just a user. I'm not joined to the domain yet. So that's the first thing that I want to do. I want to get this thing as part of our domain. And you'll notice that right now it says the license is valid. That's because I was connected to our external interface. Understand that if you're connected to an internal network and you're using a Windows 10 eval, if it does not have a connection to the internet, you may get a message saying that your license has expired, even though it should be good. Not going to really worry about that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to right click and we're going to go to System. And in System, we're going to scroll down and we're going to click on System Info. In System Info, we're going to select Change Settings. We're going to click Change, and we're going to type in lun-cl1, and for the domain, adatum.com, and click OK. It should take just a moment. We should get our prompt of whose credentials can we use to join. Should just take a moment more. We should get a message saying that welcome to our domain. There we are. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to mute this. We don't need audio. Yes, we know we have to restart. When we click close, we'll have that option. We restart now. Should take just a moment. We'll be back up in Windows 10. When we log back in, we're going to log in with our system administrator account instead of that generic user account that I had created. Click Other User, our system admin username. It'll take just a moment for our desktop to set up. I'm going to pause it while it does that. You don't need to sit and watch. Okay, and our desktop's coming up. And what we're going to do here is we're going to right click and let's see. Our instructions say to go to right click and select Control Panel. Well, you can see that since our worksheet was created, Control Panel doesn't appear in the right click context menu. Understand that some things have changed, but can we easily get to Control Panel? We sure can. All you got to do is just type in Control, and there it is. Press Enter, and there's Control Panel. We're going to select Network and Internet, and then we're going to select Network and Sharing Center. In here, we're going to go to our left-hand column. We're going to select Change Adapter Settings. We're going to right-click our Ethernet adapter, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename it. I'm going to rename it to our London network, and we're going to disable. Now, what I want to do is we need to have a second adapter on this. We're going to select Settings. I'm going to go Network Adapter, Add. On my network adapter settings, I'm going to select Internet, and I'm going to click OK. Just like that, we've got another adapter. I'm going to right click and I'm going to rename this Internet. We'll say yes there. I'm going to right click. We're going to rename it Internet. It's already enabled. We're going to go ahead and we're going to close our network connection screen. And we're going to right click our Start button and we're going to go to Windows PowerShell Admin. We're going to say yes. And what we're going to do is we're going to run the set-net 6-4 configuration. Just going to tab complete. Our state will be enabled. And press enter. Let's type in the following. Get dash net IP address, tab complete. We're going to pipe that and we're going to send it to, now we could just do FT for format table, but I'm going to type it out. Format table space. I want IP address. Oh, helps if I type IP address correctly. a comma, interface alias. Let's make sure it's typed correctly. Interface alias, yes. So what this is going to do is this is going to take our net IP information and it's going to send it and format it as a table with the IP address and interface alias. I'm going to hit enter. And there we go. Instead of just getting raw information scrolling across our screen, we've taken it and we've formatted it into a viewable table. Note our 6-to-4 adapter. Note that address. This corresponds to the IPv4 address. Let's go ahead and run the ipconfig command and press enter. Notice that we've got an IPv4 address, we've got our subnet, we've got a default gateway, we've got our link local IPv6 address. Notice below that is the tunnel adapter 6-to-4 address. Let's go ahead and take a screenshot and paste this into step number 33. Remember the 6-to-4 address that we had configured on our EURTR? Let's jump back over to that. And where was that at? Right here. 2002:836B:A:836A. I'm going to move this off to the side so we can see that. I'm going to go back over to our client, our Windows 10 client, and we're going to test a net connection. Test-net connection, a space, and I want to type in that 6-to-4 adapter address over on our router. So it's 2002, a colon, 836B, another colon, the letter A, followed by 2 colons, and then 836B:A. And we're going to press enter. It's testing. It's waiting for an echo reply. It's doing a ping test. Now, the question is, do we have ping enabled over on our router? While I'm waiting for that test to complete, I want to double check that. So, oops, didn't mean to make that full screen. Let's bring that over here. I'm going to go Tools, Advanced Security for our firewall, Inbound Rules. We're going to scroll down. Well, you know what? It might fail. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right click and I'm going to enable ping on both IPv4 and IPv6. That's what this second rule is. We'll close that. We'll put PowerShell back up on the screen where we had it. Let's jump back over to our client. Now, it did come back true. Let's go ahead and rerun that command one time. Let's just wait for the results to appear on our screen while we're watching. It's doing multiple pings, multiple tests. If it had failed, it would say ping succeeded, false. Our results are true. Our ping worked. Let's go ahead, take another screenshot, and paste that into step number 35. And that concludes that exercise. And with that, we are done. The only thing that remains is for us to do a little bit of resetting on our client computer. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close PowerShell. And here on our Network and Sharing Center, what I'm going to do is we're going to click Change Adapter Settings. I'm going to disable the London network is currently disabled. I'm going to disable Internet, and I'll right click and enable London Network. And with that, our lab is done. Thank you for viewing 70-741 Lab 1. This has been an exercise to reinforce and restore our skills with IPv4 and IPv6. It's all about reinforcing knowledge. The more times we do these exercises, the easier it gets. And when the time comes to do it for real, you'll remember. Thank you for viewing this lab, and as I always say, I'll see you in the next lab or lesson. Have a great one.